how alarming the notice is. You always would put it on, and then I'd go, "Ah," and you'd be like, huh?
And it just pops up. I'm slowly in the process of building my first computer,
Oh
which
yeah, wasn't the one you were gonna give to Aldrin, but didn't because it was a nice all computer? Or was that a different computer?
yeah.
So she texted me around Christmas time and she was like, yeah, we were gonna give Aldrin this computer, and then we figured out it was actually a really nice computer, so now I'm keeping it and he's getting a kitchen set.
No. We bought him a kitchen set, and Amazon gifted us a beautiful monitor instead. So I bought him another kitchen set. Yeah.
What a weird thing for Amazon to do. Straight up.
Nice at Christmas.
Listen, it gets crazy in the cheese sauce around Christmas time at Amazon, and like you contact customer service and you're like, I need to return this non-returnable. They're like, just keep it. We just
Yeah,
don't care at this point. Whatever.
please.
My name is Charlie the Elf. It's like the elf from what was the movie The Polar Express? What are they being bad? What are they mashugging on Christmas Eve? And you're like, wait, is that elf Jewish? What is happening here?
They have it here. Oh, that
That's
didn't
pretty
work
much
out at
Amazon.
all.
Hmm?
I was trying to put my hair up because it's really frustrating, and now I just have this.
You have a crown. Are you bump it?
I no, I'm not Bumpet. I hope I'm not Bumpet. She's a very nice woman, but like I really
Hello.
don't want to be Bumpet
Hello. I
or
oh, I
Bumpet.
had a thought and it went away. Squirrel.
Weird. See, now I'm like all paranoid about my hair. You
Say,
guys are
I like it.
like awesome.
I was watching I remember what I was gonna say. Number one, I was watching a podcaster who has a cat tree behind her when she talks, and I was
Oh,
endlessly fascinated by the cats. That's number
you're
one. Number two, I also watched a podcaster this morning or yesterday morning who said, yeah, I didn't pay any attention to the Super Bowl because my beloved Ravens were not in it. And I was like,
oh, Brad.
oh, Megan would love this person.
I'll tell
I
Brad.
mean, actually, you probably wouldn't, but he largely
Um,
talked about economics.
I need 5 pictures. So you need to make 5 funny faces for a reel. I have a template. Good job, Dad. Strong start. Okay, another one, please. That's hilarious. Okay, one more. Father, wait a minute. I had to zoom in real close for it.
You got the
Wonderful. Thank
tongue.
you. Hold on, did I get all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool, I got 6. Wonderful, thank you. Okay. Okay, move on with time now. I had made
Okay.
a template under my book account the other day, and I was like, oh, this would work for Toasty Ghosties.
So all of you look for our Toasty Ghosty content coming out on Instagram.
At some point when I sit down and do it.
Yes. I've also noticed that upload day is a variable. If I go camping, upload day is a different day.
We're all adults and we have lives. Some of us have multiple side hustles now.
I thought you were gonna say we all had multiple lives, and I was like, yeah, that's also kind of true.
No,
Hello, I'm Mr. Barber. I'm the music teacher. Hi, I'm Flame the Clown. Whatever. You do what you gotta do, man. Welcome to the night bus. Hey, you're me.
is that what happens when it's time for music? Flap your arms, flap your arms.
You said that wrong. It's time for music. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack!
Oh, I have a TikTok to send you. I'll send it to Beckon. It got sent to me and immediately was like, I think Michael needs this more than me.
I
I'll make a little group chat. I should have done that a while ago. I just kept forgetting.
I definitely
do that right now.
If in 2016 somebody had said to me, you know what? My Nostradamus hat tells me
God.
that you are going to be teaching preschool music again, like you did at the very beginning of your career. I'd have looked at him and said, I don't know what drugs you doing, but I'm going to need them whenever that happens. And 4 years later,
Here you are.
everybody.
I personally like we're going on a bear hunt. That is my very favorite, mostly because Dad will sit there and he'll go, "We're going on a bear hunt." Oh no, mud.
But
And
so I have a particular teaching assistant who realized that all of the different voices I do during those songs are actually like based on real people. So she has made it her life's mission to figure out. So there's that part where in that song I go, and it's a beautiful day. And they're like, oh my God, that's John Jacobson. And if you remember, Megan, this is going back in your past to yes, I believe, say you believe in fairies. All right, from Paris Kate Robinson.
yeah.
And the double shoulder dance, that's
Oh
that
my
person.
God.
And I'm like, how did you, oh my God, these dogs every time. How did you, as a like 28 to 32-year-old, teaching assistant, figure that voice out? She's like, it's distinctive.
It leaves a mark. Good. Good. How
So what's our subject tonight?
wonderful.
Nephilims.
Oh,
This
wonderful.
was Chris's brainchild here, so she gets to announce the subject today.
I made a jam board. Did you guys get it?
I did. I made a comment on it.
Did you?
I did. I did a sticky note. I don't know if it's saved properly, but I did.
Nice.
So
I can
I
see it.
got a link to it.
I
I
just kind
also work till 6 o'clock.
I kind
Yeah.
of forwarded the link that you sent me to him in hopes that it would work because he gets all of my emails.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, well, he got the email anyway, so I texted him and told him about it. I don't know if he
Okay.
Oh, we're screen sharing. We are fancy.
Nice. Super fancy.
Are we? Oh, let's talk giant everythings.
This is the jam board.
All right. This is the jam board.
Oh no, I have
So,
no idea that's going on.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's 5 frames?
Um,
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know that. I'm not smart. Okay, continue.
The only thing is like I did it on my iPad and I knew that I could like, wow, did not mean to do that. Move that. There we go.
Suggestion, Chul says the Venn diagram.
Yeah. So some of these post-it notes have more information on them. I know that I could like double click on them when I was doing it, but now I don't know how to. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay. See, so we could have those conversations. Okay. We can do it like this, or we could just kind of talk about it.
See, I added that little one. That was what I did.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, sweet. Okay. Well, we can talk about it like this or not, but I know a lot of this stuff is one of the reasons why it took me so long to kind of talk about this was there were so many visuals that I wanted to pull off the internet that were like so crazy. That I just kind of wanted to show you guys. So Nephilims are mysterious beings, or people in the Bible who are described as being large and strong, translated into giants sometimes, also known as fallen ones. I know I've had debates before with people about how they were really not necessarily. There's a huge debate out there whether or not they're fallen angels or whether or not they're angels that have bred with humans.
And
So-
I saw I did a very brief search because a lot of like the information I have on this comes from various books that have their own take on it. But I did a hot second of research before we hopped on tonight, and I had seen that some people debated whether or not they were the kids of angels and humans, or if they were an offspring of, like, Adam and Eve had Cain and then Seth, and then the offspring of Seth could possibly, like, it was a whole like.
Right. So I kind of like just took it from like every approach. I know like when I feel like I'm using my teacher voice. I'm so sorry. Um Tom hates on it, teacher voice. I feel like a lot of times too, like I know when I wrote the Creation of Death series, my take was um an angel and a human.
Right.
And that was my course of a Nephilim.
So in Genesis,
There you go.
Genesis 6:4 reads specifically, the Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into unto the daughters of man. All right, and they bore children to them, and the same were the mighty men that were of the old, the men of renown. So there seems to be a distinction between Nephilim and the giants, that the giants were the first offspring of the Nephilim. The Nephilim they are variously described as fallen angels or just straight up angels. All right, but they are because as we discussed in a previous podcast, we talked about the biblical vision of an angel is like, quite horrifying in comparison to, the cute little
Right.
cherubim with the fluffy wings, and Saint Michael the Archangel, who has a sword coming out his head like he's the blood red axe from the Kane Chronicles. But when you talk about this, what I hear in my head, now this is because I'm both biblical and historical and scientific, not quite as much as Alex, who may or may not join us in a Tigger outfit soon. But, oh, I froze. What happened? But when you talk about the Nephilim and the way that they bred, it sounds to me specifically that when male giants bred with daughters of men,
So can
they
you get that
create.
quote, the scripture on the screen for a second so I can see the actual phrasing? Because you read it way too quick for me. I don't know if you can share somehow.
Hold on. I didn't pull it up on that screen. Let me do this.
Everybody should be able to share.
Okay.
This
Genesis
is why you needed to add it to the damn board.
6:4.
The I
Hold on. I have a lot going on that I'm trying to get done here.
The brains are operating on all cylinders, but there's smoke. There's smoke.
All right. So you should be able to see that now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So when I read that, it reads to me that maybe the Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, they bore children to them, and they were mighty men of old. So it sounds like to me when the Nephilim bred
No, it
with
says the
women.
same. It says the same were the mighty men of old. It sounds to me that there's two different races
Well,
going.
it sounds like to me that it bred true.
Okay.
All right. So, but it also sounds. I'm going to use a weird analogy. Hold on.
Okay.
Ligers and Tigons.
You had me with the ligers.
Okay.
The hell's a Tigon?
Hold on. Watch this.
Well, no, don't take away the quote. I need the quote.
I can go back. It's easy enough. All right. Liger is a hybrid between a male lion and a female tiger.
Okay.
And they breed abnormally large. If you look down here at this picture.
Right. They're real big at the end there.
Right. Now, I happen to have, in my lifetime, had the opportunity to be in the presence of a true liger.
So, yeah.
All right. And that true liger was scary. Hold on one moment. Tigger's doing some laundry. Sorry. So when I was at this place that had the liger, the guy was like, "Oh, you can lean back into it." I'm like, "There's no place on this universe I'm leaning into this animal because its paw, okay, was bigger than my face. And when it stood on its hind legs, it could easily put its front legs on the roof line of the cottage at which it was being shown. All right, it was humongous. What I'm saying is it sounds to me that the liger is sort of like the same concept. When you're talking about hybridization of a giant being or a being of great power, when it bred with the daughters, because it's very specific in the quote that when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, that bred a giant, that bred a huge being or a being of great and immense power. Versus if you have a Tygon, which is the child of a tiger, male tiger, and a female lion, it breeds smaller. Which, by the way, this lies to a whole bunch of different cultural anecdotal stories of things like fae, leprechauns, and the such.
Right. So
that was a lot, really fast. But I've been
Yeah.
thinking about this a lot lately.
I just
Clearly.
So, but could you not argue that this is saying when a Nephilim lies with a human woman that it breeds giants?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's the summary of what you're saying. Okay, I just want to make sure that that's like what you're saying. Okay.
So that also, by the way, is if you read the biblical text of the description of the Philistine Goliath, all right, biblical description. That's the word I'm really looking for.
Like 7 something.
No, closer to 15.
Was it 15?
All right, he's described as a champion out of the camp of the Philistines whose height was 6 cubits and a span. All right. So if you take that 6 cubits and a span in feet. All right. 9.75 feet. I'm sorry, not 15. Now let's just do this. Watch this little fun little thing.
Oh God, how did I know this was going to connect to Sasquatch?
You're right.
Look at the estimate height of roughly 6 to 9 feet.
I don't think a
2.7 meters.
Sasquatch is a Nephilim. I just don't think that.
Actually, there's a lot of people who would make that argument with you because they're also described as being hairy, that they're giant, that they're all these different things. Now, I'm not actually saying that Sasquatch are fallen angels by any stretch of the imagination.
What did that mean for the century? Oh my God, who's got that on their bingo card?
What? What?
People have been playing bingo with the year because of just how absolutely insane the world has been, and so like people have been putting random shit on their bingo cards, like they're hypothetical, like, oh, who had like last year, like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce getting together, or like whatever the hell, like random events happened. Who has Sasquatch being a fallen angel on their bingo card? That's the title of the episode, by the way. I've given it to you. You can't put it on your bingo card.
I did not, no. But also, in a number of texts, the relations resulted in viable offspring of angel-human hybrids that came to be known as variably in different cultures, the Nephalim, the Gibborim, or frankly, just giants. And there is not a culture on planet Earth that doesn't have some variation of the idea of giants. Now, if I were a pure cultural anthropologist and a pure anthropologist in and of itself, I would then say, well, really what they're doing is they're having memories, genetic memories or cultural heritage memories of Gigantopithecus blacki or the Australopithecus or what. No, dog, what we're talking about is giants. All right, we're talking about beings that average the 9-foot area. By the way, do you want me to stop screen sharing? I feel like I've shoved us all in a corner somewhere.
I would like to screen share for a second.
Okay.
I have some.
Oh, this is fun. I like this new method.
That's
Also,
fun.
the fact that I've updated my computer and does go every 5 seconds, I'm really excited about.
I don't know how to get back to Zoom. Give me a second. I'm technologically inept.
Maybe drinking and doing this isn't the greatest idea.
You know what, Dad? I have a confession to make. I haven't had a glass of wine with this since the first episode. This is, in fact, a Diet Coke.
Oh, you are such a liar and a lightweight.
No, it is. It's Diet Coke right here. I've got the bottle that I've been pouring it into. It's because the only red wine I have right now is the black boxed wine. It gives me a headache. It does.
So yummy.
No, I
Not
like.
black box. I'm sorry. I'm talking about my Boda Box Nighthawk.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the Boda Box
Nighthawk.
better.
For all your drinking things. The Nighthawk, by the way, you need to sponsor us.
So basically, anyone that's watching this, send Megan some alcohol.
That's not black box wine.
Make some suggestions in the comments section. Really
Joe,
good.
oh wait.
I actually have a suggestion for wine. Actually, I might actually get up and get the bottle so I can show it to you. Our friend John brought over this cranberry wine to watch the Super Bowl with the other day, and oh my God, it was so friggin' good. Like, it wasn't too sweet, it wasn't too tart. It was absolutely delicious. It was like caramel or something. I don't know. It was caramello, I think it was actually. But it was like a $6 bottle of wine, and seriously, it was delicious, wonderful. So anyway, now that I've
Yeah,
done
all these people who say that you have to spend $1 bazillion on a bottle of wine. No. And the people make fun of me for getting box wine. It's like, hey, you know what? When you go broke,
oh, found it.
I'm going to enjoy. I just call it my wine skin. Call it a day.
That's actually really funny. I will subscribe to you later. There.
You have started. Oh, there we are. Ah,
Ah,
Well, because you were talking about them being giants and how different cultures have giants, and I was thinking about Ireland.
I love how both of you guys are like bouncing around my board.
Sorry.
No, I absolutely love it. Yeah.
In my defense, I did why are you emailing me at 9:05? I didn't realize, to be fair, that the Jamboard had multiple boards. I thought it was just
That one page.
yep. Sure did. I was like, oh, this is
page
interesting way.
yourself. You had a Megan page.
I did?
So you were gonna do a whole like Megan, I know how you feel about Nephilims versus giants, and you were gonna get to
I do
defend
have strong feelings on
giants, and you had like giants from all sorts of cultures all over the page.
I think the problem here is I was looking at it on my phone and I didn't realize like the arrow button was really, really tiny. So I just straight up did not see it.
I'm proud of us for trying something new.
But hey, now we know. Now we know that there are multiple boards that we can go to. Anyway, I wanted to bring this up. This was just the first link on it. I straight up Googled it and it had 1.5 million pages. I just like the look of this page. Vibes. I'm going off of vibes today. Because I mean the two that they don't are a completely like they're part of the old Irish gods, but they're part of a different section of Irish gods. Like you have the Tuatha, and then you have a bunch of different races as well. But you do have like historical accounts of giants in Ireland. And I don't know, like dad was saying something about, different cultures all having a version of giants and everything, and all of them seem to have some form of divine origin. I still think that there is a difference between giants and Nephilim. Because
yes.
I don't think that all Nephilim are giants, and I don't think all giants are Nephilim. Kind of like the rectangle square situation.
Yeah, there's a theory behind that too. I'll get into that in a minute.
Sick. But I thought that this was an interesting thing to bring up here. I'm trying to
go back up. Go back up.
Ah,
right there. That's not true. Falling angel. Well, okay. Does it really say falling angel? It says it actually is called a rebellious angel who gained his own power. But okay, go on.
I was gonna say, no, I have to become a member to read more. I'm gonna go to a different search result. I'm
Well,
not.
the Anukai, I mean, which by the way, the Anukai as a word shows up in so many cultures. I mean, and literally far flung from Canaan, pre-Israelite Israel,
Well, see,
through
I was
the
gonna say
Philistines to India, to obviously Ireland. So I mean, there's some, and actually, there's Native American myths about this stuff too. They just have different names.
Well, I was gonna say you have in Ireland, you've got the Tuatha, and then you also have the Fomorians. And I would, I don't know which of them I feel like would be more likely, but they are distinctly different races. They were actually completely like against each other at all points in time. So and the Tuatha were described as coming from the south. Like the Fomorians were already there, and the Tuatha kind of invaded, I think. If I'm not mixing that up, I may be mixing it up because it's been a long time since I read these. This could be an interesting page. Let's
Yeah.
look at this page.
Oh, oldie.
Oldie. Yes, you're right. That's how we're pronouncing that from now on.
Okay.
Oh, look, sleep ads.
Nice.
Well, I always need sleep ads. But they're not hairy here, Dad. So, you know.
Well, it would depend on where they lived, wouldn't it? Also, in Native American legends, there's two different basic variations of giants, one of which was very peaceful and benign and tended towards being red-haired, and one that was extraordinarily aggressive, as in cannibalistic and ate you.
Well, there's been long been rumors of Celts and Vikings having reached America long before.
Long before, yeah.
Yeah. So
Before
hold on. I
anyone else
wanna
did.
fact check myself real quick. My book over here. Yeah. Because who doesn't have a treasury of Irish myths and fairy tales on hand at all points in time?
I do. I mean, it's in the closet.
Well, mine was on the shelf, and it has pretty gold pages.
Well, now you guys know what to get me for my birthday in June. Because I do not have one.
Well, you should.
I know I'm Irish. Actually, I'm mostly Celtic. Well, I'm mostly Viking, but
Look, I have leaves in my Irish book that I didn't put there.
you
Why are
don't.
there leaves in my Irish book that I didn't put here? Like straight up, look, there's a rose petal, I think.
Hmm.
Yep, definitely a rose petal because this is a rose leaf. A leaf and another leaf.
Did you tell a fae your name?
Not that I'm aware of. It's on I just kind of opened it and it was on this page. The bookmark is on a completely different page for the record. The bookmark's over here. The story is called The Fairy's Revenge, Lady Wild. Maybe I need to read this. I'm gonna bookmark.
Yes. You upset somebody.
Huh?
Sounds like you upset somebody.
I might have. But anyway, I'm trying to fact check myself regarding the Fomorians, and I know it would be in this book. Because obviously.
Okay, can I screen share?
Yeah, of course, go for it. Do I have to stop screen sharing or can you just hostile take over my screen share?
I think you have to stop.
Oh damn, I was really hoping for a hostile takeover. That'd been really funny.
That would be hilarious.
Like, no,
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, so one of the things that I was reading today that I thought was very interesting was that there was a time that Nephilims and giants were marked as different before the flood and post flood. That God had tried to kind of wipe out and settle the Nephilims before the flood. And so that was part of the reasons of the flood, but it didn't quite work out and they kind of spread out. So like the giants were really kind of more of a reaction to that. and then they become more of a hybrid.
Okay.
You can kind of see like in here, like just kind of how, and Goliath obviously is like one of it, but they just kind of like bred into our society. And the most distinctive thing, I think, because throughout all of it was really just kind of like the power that the Nephilims had. They were supernatural. They were slightly different. They had like almost like a sixth sense type of thing, a little bit more
Right.
being supernatural, as opposed to the giants that were just, they carried that strength and that height.
Right. They were more than just their physical size. They had extra abilities as well. Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, but here's Megan's. See, Megan had a page. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about mainly was this, this Wisconsin mound, and honestly about the Smithsonian, which I was freaking blown away here. And I want you to, if you don't mind, tag. I put a link to a video that I saw. I wish I could remember the name of the guy off the top of my head. I feel so bad for forgetting his name. I meant to look it up before I got here, but an incredible video about it. I had actually ran across this report during my research earlier, and was just kind of blown away about like what I was reading. And it's the original report from the Smithsonian, and it talks about one skull measuring 36 inches in circumference, one full skeleton with double rows of teeth.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
I've
can
read
see
that.
the right here, alongside a gigantic axe referred to in a report as gigantic savages, giant axe skinning stones weighing 15 pounds, carved handle, jawbone that was easily slipped around the entire face of a large man on a research team. And like there was more and more and more stuff in this report. And one of the things that was like mentioned in the report that was after it was like, this is all stuff that Smithsonian doesn't actually have in the Smithsonian anymore and doesn't talk about. And so I started kind of digging into it, and this is one of the excavated mounds in Aztalian State Park. I'm so sorry if I get it wrong, Wisconsin, please don't kill me. Led by Nathan Couch in May of 1912. They started excavating the mounds. It's now a park. You can go check it out. It's really actually a very pretty park. They started digging, kind of excavating it, and wound up finding these skeletons that were abnormally large, and not like a little abnormally large, like what we would consider giants, but like obnoxiously large. And I took so many photos, and I just couldn't, like, I could have did a Jamboard of just these photos. And it's like the Smithsonian just kind of wants to wipe it out of existence.
You know,
But like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, this isn't the first time that it has come up in the course of the podcast of the Smithsonian wiping something out, because there was that sea serpent skeleton discovered in Maine that they have logs of in Maine and Boston, and it was on transport to the Smithsonian, and then it was never heard of or seen about again.
So here's a little piece for you, because as soon as you mentioned the Wisconsin mounds, I was like, I remember reading something about that. The ancient giants who ruled America, the missing skeletons in the Great Smithsonian cover-up. And you're like, oh, conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Oh no, Flat Earthers by Richard J. Dewhurst. Oh, he must be a crazy. 2013. Oh my gosh. Until you realize it's an abstract to a scientific paper.
Oops.
Yeah.
Crazy method or memo.
All right. And it is a full-on study reviewed for multiple years. It is actually available through Bear and Company, Rochester, Vermont. The University of Vermont is 357 pages long and has an ISBN number. And it was published by Cambridge University Press.
So not a conspiracy theory.
And I'm sending you the QR link right now
Wonderful.
in the group chat
The newly
that
made.
now exists.
By the way, I did just fact check myself. The Fomorians were described as demonic beings, where the Tutha were described as like angelic or descendant from gods or gods themselves. So in line with the other theories that you guys were talking about.
And I also do remember the double-headed, the double road teeth ones as well. It's an interesting little concept. Also, would love to point out, just for those of you, any of the viewers who exist out there who think that we're all lost our plot.
I think we
With-
found the plot, actually.
All two of them. All right. It's this. Stories of the giant octopus and or giant squid have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And during that time, people scoffed at it. They scoffed at the idea of the Kraken. And during that time, they said there was no proof. And during that time, it wasn't until, I forget the year, and I'll put it in an overlay unless somebody wants to look it up real quickly, what year it was that they finally filmed the giant squid, which I think was 2015, 2016. It was not that long ago.
Wait, Chris, can you put the Jamboard up on the screen again? Was that 7.8 meters high or 7.8 feet of your giant in Wisconsin?
Meters?
That's wild. That's 21 feet, right? Or over 21 feet.
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty big.
That's crazy. That man's up to his kneecaps.
I'm sorry, I was wrong. It was in 2006, a female giant squid attacked a bait suspended beneath a giant Japanese, not giant, research vessel off the coast. Did I say festival or did I say vessel?
I think you said festival, but
I meant vessel. It was the first time a giant squid was alive, thus proving the animal was existent. In the meantime, in the Smithsonian, there has been an Archaeopteryx in its catalog for well over 100 years. Giant squid.
why'd you have to go all scientific with the name?
Well, because Tigger was going to come in at one point, but he didn't.
Not just say,
Oh, your mother is now laughing at the Tigger outfit. He has not taken off the Tigger outfit. FYI.
as he shouldn't. But why would what does the Smithsonian have to gain covering up giants in Wisconsin?
So you know the movie Night at the Smithsonian or Night at the Museum?
Yeah.
And they talk about the tunnel system underneath it. That's absolutely real. And there's so much more in the Smithsonian than the plebeians will ever see.
Okay.
There's so much more. And the reality is, and this
Wow.
is where I feel like I let me get my tinfoil hat on, stick it on, and ancient aliens and the whole 9 yards. Right. But I sit there and I say, if you want to scrub the idea of conspiracy theories, open up the floodgates, because we're not morons. All right.
Right.
It's like Area 51. If there are aliens at Area 51, it's not going to bring down our civilization, because something like 80% of all human beings on planet Earth believe in aliens. And some 60% of people think that they've come to this planet. So I don't think people are really going to freak the hell out. But by having secrets, they feed the conspiracy theories. Because I'm involved in no less than 7 Bigfoot groups on Facebook. All right. They range from the North American Wood Ape Conservancy, which is actually a scientific based group, and it's a bunch of scientists, people like Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, who are involved in this concept of trying to figure out if it's real or is it BS. All right. To people who believe that they have skeletons and or bodies of actual Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, right? And that even people like Todd Standing, who's I think he's from Colorado, but I most often hear about him from Canada, so we'll say Canadian. All right, Canadian Bigfoot researcher who's been proven to be a hoaxer, but he also seems to have some really good knowledges. And he has this claim that at one time he was hiking up on Bigfoot Ridge and he saw helicopters come over and they just basically wiped out a family of Sasquatch that had been seen by too many people. All right. And the reality is, we all know the government would 100% do something like that. 100%. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist because they're so non-transparent. I mean, as we discussed in an earlier episode, I mean, we know a person very close to us who once talked about working on a very, very secret operation that he could not say the words of without getting arrested, which we now all use, called GPS. But GPS was around for 35 or 40 years before the first citizen knew about it. They do that kind of stuff. And in fairness to them, I understand that there's stuff in the government that we cannot know.
Well,
But something like this, who the hell cares? It's thousands of years ago.
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, why would they bother cover like the sea serpent thing? I could kind of understand. Like,
No,
covering up, I do. If sea serpents are like in existence, like that's
but we
terrifying.
know they are.
But like,
There's no question to the concept.
yeah, I know that. But like, I also just like thinking, I can swim in the ocean and not get gobbled by a sea serpent. And in reality, I'm probably not going to get gobbled by a sea serpent. But I do attract snakes, so the odds are never zero with me. For the record.
What's the meme? The odds are never zero of being killed by a cat, and the cat's like,
Well, no, remember we were in Florida and a rare sea snake had washed up on shore, and I'm telling you, it's just because I was there. Like,
listen, you also were playing in the surf in Myrtle Beach, I think it was, with a baby dolphin less than 5 feet from you, and you didn't even notice. Your mother and I noticed because we were freaking the hell out.
well, I'd rather the baby dolphin than a friggin' sea serpent or a snake. Actually, I would take the sea serpent over the snake because the sea serpent, at least they could get me in one bite, whereas the snake is kind of like, and then I get like poisoned and then like $100,000 medical bill. So I would rather just, than.
I'm saying,
Oh,
whether you're talking whether you're talking about the idea of giant snakes, and there are plenty of stories, and everybody says that every story about a giant snake that's over 50 feet long is bullshit.
the lie.
Yes. But
Yeah, as I said, you have a giant snake thing that I sent you that you put on the Jamboard. Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
I mean, the reality is there are stories from many different cultures, whether you are talking about the Boa from prehistoric times, which was clearly a thing, or you're talking about the ancient stories of giant king cobras that were like literally 40 feet long, or you're talking about pythons and or boa constrictors of the South American jungles that are 40 and 50 feet long, as opposed to the average anaconda that's only 25 feet long.
No, man.
I know, but they're talking about these things as if it's
Really?
not a possibility, and we all understand that it's BS. It is a possibility. In it always amazes me when you talk about like any of this stuff anywhere online, the people who always sit there and tell you that you're tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist are also people who have never been in the woods. They've never been there, they've never looked, they've never tried. And I'll tell you what, I've seen more not looking and not trying than I would like to actually be a part of. Yes,
I have my like blinders on.
and it is, again, I mean, it to me, it falls under everything from the idea of large cats in Maryland, and they're telling, oh, there's no such thing as a puma in Maryland. I'm like, well, something dragged that deer up in the tree. Like it wasn't me. I don't know, but I don't think it was a wolf or some sort of canid. It had to be a tree climbing something or other. When you talk about things like the Nephalem, there's no way you're going to prove that. I know, I see it. that they're not, that they didn't happen.
Well, I'm
And
not convinced that they still like. I'm not convinced it didn't happen at all. It probably did, considering all of the like historical references to it. I'm not convinced that the bloodlines still don't exist. They've probably been watered down, but you have stories of humans who can sense extra things, like Chris described the Nephilim's original powers of what?
dogs barking on the backyard again.
Oh, I thought you were making that face at me, and I was gonna say I don't know why you're doing. But anyway, Chris had her hand up. So Chris, what
Yes.
did you have to add?
Oh, sorry, teacher. I was just saying, like, do you buy into the conspiracy theory that they just kind of lock stuff away until something bad in the government's happening, and then they're like, oh, let's
Oh, you mean like how they released that aliens had visited
let's
Earth?
like let's just
Drop that
release
one.
do stuff. Let's
I thought it was and this is a whole other episode to talk
Yeah,
about.
I'm so with you on that one.
But it didn't exactly, it wasn't lost on me that they found classified documents in Biden's garage. They were about to indict Trump for the exact same thing, as well as the economy doing the, and all of a sudden they're like, we have these videos over here. We should probably talk about them in the Senate chambers. In the meantime, between 1951 and 1967, they had this thing called Project Blue Book that comprised some 12,000 reputable sightings. I just had this conversation with a person who, literally looked at me and said, oh, you believe in, XYZ, the Bigfoot, whatever, aliens. And they're like, they're looking at ready to make me a hat out of tinfoil. And I said, listen, dude, you have to believe that every single person who says they've seen one of these things is a lunatic liar, or, they're trying to grift in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm willing to look at all the different evidences and say, what is it? What is it really? There is an interesting thing I read online about the Nephilim that talks about, what if the Nephilim were actually Neanderthals who then bred with Homo sapiens?
I genuinely was gonna bring that up, but I was worried that you guys were gonna like make fun of me.
Well, I do a little bit.
I would just laugh a little bit.
And here's my only reason why is because there's no reason to think that the Neanderthal were so much larger than Homo sapiens. In fact, they're generally in bone structure seem to have been smaller. But
they were stronger, far more aggressive. They were cannibals. They had a lot of hair. They were just animalistic in nature.
Well, why can't it be both? Like, why can't, like, I bringing it back to Ireland for a second. That you had the one race of giants described as angelic and having these extra powers and godlike, and then you have this other that was described as descendant of the devils and like just downright evil. Like, why can't one of those have been Nephilim in the sense of fallen angels or rebellious angels or whatever term you feel like using, having kids with mortal and human women, and one of them being some crossbreed of Neanderthal and humans? Like, why can't both of those have been a thing?
Hold it.
I'm holding.
I just seem like, from a scientific point of view, that would be how I think scientists would approach it. I feel like that would be Alex's argument if he wasn't playing ticket right now.
I don't think so. I think he would be on the side of the fallen angels, mostly because of, like, both of you guys have valid points regarding the height issue with Neanderthals, but then also with the aggression. Okay.
So interestingly, if you look at the description from the book of Genesis, chapter 25, 27, 20, 28, 32, and 33, they describe the son of Isaac and Rebekah. The older of the twin brother of Jacob, it was Esau. And Esau was described at birth as red and hairy. He became a wandering hunter, while Jacob was a shepherd and white and smooth.
Right.
So Here's
Okay,
a
but
question.
they're not saying that they're Nephilim.
No.
They're saying there's
Wait,
something
wait. I
else.
had an entire thought.
Okay.
So here's my thought. What if the Nephilim breeding with humans in one way creates
Oh,
the
this is
light?
go back to your Liger situation.
I'm bringing this full circle. And what if the other brings you something smaller? I don't know, short in stature, hairy, maybe not as well developed, maybe a little more aggressive, not as intelligent. I don't know,
Maybe
a
Scott.
Neanderthal. Because it's really funny, if you look at the fossil record, there's a parallel between Neanderthal and Homo sapien, but there's never been that. Where's this? Where's your Venn diagram? Where's your Venn diagram variant? I apologize for the, but it was kind of funny and I had to do it. But where's your Venn diagram variant? Where is the crossover between Homo sapien and Neanderthalensis? Because there would have to be one if one descended from the other. What if they're two different lines?
Kind
Two
of like the
different
Seth and
companies.
Cain thing that I brought up at the beginning.
Yes, because Cain is also described the same way. And then, of course, you have to go back to the whole like, and then he was banished to the land of Nod. And you're like, who the hell is in the land of Nod? Oh,
Apparently
Adam
multiple
and
people,
Eve had
actually.
like hundreds of kids because they lived 1,000 years. And Eve is like, get off me. Sorry, that's just a personal thing.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I had read a theory about that not that long ago. I don't remember the specific details, but yeah, that was all that sentence had, though. That wasn't going anywhere else.
All right. Have we decided anything?
I think they definitely existed. I think we are still seeing as a conversation that Megan as a comment to what Megan was saying earlier is I think they still exist. I think we all kind of have it. I think we see it in bits
I don't
and
think we all have it. I think it's certain bloodlines.
I feel like it's just kind of like, I don't know, some people have like a little bit more supernatural in them than others.
Can I just put out there that I think Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and maybe a couple other people, as Jason Statham, have a little more.
Oh,
More.
agreed.
But I think they're more the Tygon version.
That's so mean. Why are you being mean?
I'm not being mean. I 100%. I agree 100% with Chris on this, that there are still people wandering the earth who have this blood in them. And I think it goes on both sides.
Yeah. I taught a student who was 7'3" and was still growing.
I had a friend like that in high school.
Yeah.
That's
Actually.
really alarming.
So, I mean, he had to duck in between all the doors. Poor guy. But I mean, he was the greatest guy ever. But like anytime we had to take photos, he would always have to duck down. But I mean, like, so I mean, it's just like one of those situations where it's like you can definitely see, I feel like you can definitely see evidence of it still kind of lingering around in different people.
Well, and then going back to both of you had kind of touched on this earlier, but you both did it in kind of different ways. Like Chris, you had mentioned, you know, there was one initial race of, I'm going to use race, but that's not the term I actually need, of Nephilim who had, you know, the height, the physical abilities, but then they also had certain other abilities as well, like the sixth sense and everything. And there was another race of Nephilim that seemed to only have the height and the physical abilities, lacking the spiritual. So I think, and plus the other race altogether, that with the red and the cannibalistic situation. So I think all three of them could have descendants still wandering around with different attributes, you know?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Even from a biblical standpoint, I don't disagree with that.
Right.
Just because when you talk about, again, going back to the idea of the Venn diagram, you don't see a lot of evidence in the fossil record. You see all these different hominids, but you don't see the crossover hominid that would have led to another one. You see a lot of things rising up and then one Homo sapien staying the course. And I think that there's a possibility that maybe some of that, blood that ended with the more spiritual side, the more intellect side, it's not heliocentric, heliothropic, the combination of spirit and human
Yeah.
being combined, you see that more. And I think that I do agree that is a possibility. As far as them still Nephilim, I actually, from a biblical standpoint, because Nephilim are beings of both spirit and body, it is 100% possible that Nephilim themselves are still wandering the earth. That would also explain things like demigods.
Yeah.
In Greek culture, or
I-
super Norse heroes that rose. Yeah, I know you don't like it, but it is possible.
No, I think that the concept of like a Nephilim and like a demigod would be a different thing.
Is it really though? Because there's
Yes.
been plenty of speculation, and I don't want to go off on another 38-minute tangent because this is already going to be cut into 2 episodes at this point. But
This would be another great topic, though.
there's
body of-
yeah, there's been plenty of speculation that Nephilim are the origin of things like Hercules or Heracles, however you want to say it. And then that also kind of goes into the polytheistics. Like, where were these gods? Like, is Hades really a variant of Lucifer? Is Zeus really a variant of God? Does that make Hercules Jesus? Like when you start doing that sort of thing. Or are some of these mythologies of other cultures based on the interbreeding of Nephilim and humans? It's just a concept. It's an idea. It's a thought.
Yeah, but you also have to remember that some of those other cultures' mythologies are older than Christianity. Like the Egyptians. Like their mythology has been around longer.
I need written proof. I mean, again, this is definitely subject for a larger debate and longer debate. But when you talk about cultures, I mean, you can only go back as far as people wrote.
You can find evidence of it to 4000 BCE with paintings and like depictions on tombs and everything going back to at least 300 BCE.
Okay. And the Dead Sea Scrolls go back further. I mean, this is just I'm not here to debate you on which mythology is older. I'm saying that they all may intersect at some point.
I am not saying that they wouldn't intersect at some point. I'm just saying like I don't know. I have a hard time thinking of the Nephilim as demigods. Like I don't think that is the same concept because the way we've talked about Nephilim breeding with humans would result in more Nephilim, but it doesn't work that way for demigods.
All right, so I'm gonna confess I don't know a lot about. It's been a long time with demigods, so I actually would love to request that we do an episode of demigods. We actually kind of do a Venn diagram column wise of Nephilims and how it works and demigod powers, just to kind of do just take religion out of it, take philosophy out of it. This is how you get a Nephilim. This is how you get a demigod, and let's just kind of get down to the facts.
Well, I think for that, I mean, it says pretty clearly that the Nephilim were angels on Earth.
Right.
And then you start talking about the offspring of angels on Earth. I definitely think, yes. I mean, obviously, we're so far into the weeds that a weed whacker is not going to help us at this point. But this is a full 2-hour thing that we could discuss, and because there aren't that many cultures on planet Earth that don't have some variation of the demigod. They may not call it that, but they have a variation thereof.
Right, but then these cultures also have a variation of the Nephilim that is a different thing than the demigod.
I'm not
Like-
saying that, wait, I think you misunderstood me then. Let me go back. I'm not saying that the demigod were Nephilim. I'm saying that the demigod was a product of Nephilim and human. That's what I was saying.
The demigod is the direct descendant of a god, like a first generation descendant.
Right. And I'm saying, what if some of the gods of Greek mythology and Roman mythology were actually Nephilim, not necessarily gods?
So you're telling me there's a Nephilim out there running around as the angel of death?
Correct. Yes.
That's an interesting post for an angel to take up.
Well, since in the Christian mythology,
And so you do have a horseman of death.
My Christianity is a little bit more than a mythology to me, but from the Christian standpoint, the angel of death has a name. It's Uranus. Kind of a familiar name.
But let's just hold on a minute. I need to double check myself real quick. No, I want. So that's interesting because in Roman, that name actually is the personification of heaven and sky.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
I just had to double check that. I couldn't remember specifically which he was. And he has a Jewish counterpart
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not going to try to pronounce because I'll say it wrong. Like so
Yeah,
wrong.
I don't know.
Y and a W. They're not next to each other, which is great, but like there's a Y and a W.
I'm sorry, I mispronounced it. It's Uriel, not Urias. Uranus.
But that's completely different though.
Yes, clearly.
They keep naming things or celestial bodies and mythology names. It's too much.
Anyways, we should
Yeah.
probably think about winding down because it's been an hour and 15, 25 minutes, and this is 2 episodes of information.
We
We're
had a
gonna-
lot to say, apparently.
Well, that's good because this gives me more stuff to work with and more things to send out and to post and for people to share.
That was
Share.
really weird.
That was Joe Biden.
You also, so Dad has been posting these on Reddit, by the way, Chris. Except the last one, he forgot to attach the video.
But we still got an upvote on it,
But we still got an upvote on it. It's just the
Which- which tells you that people just go like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
He also got karma from somebody, which as far as I understand, you have to pay for on Reddit. So somebody liked it enough to send something that they paid for. But we don't get paid for getting the karma. I'm a little confused on the whole process. I'm not gonna lie. I don't use Reddit very often. So
Goodbye.
Listen, I'm just trying every social media avenue I can to get more and more subscribers.
hey,
so
we
that
got like 6
people
more on Instagram.
will listen to us and go on. And as I told Megan, I said, part of this is really kind of fun because we're going off of our brains and our memories and like, oh, I remember hearing this thing and let me check this really quick. As opposed to when we used to do this by doing research for a week before we came on. And then we're like, and then there was a story in Rhode Island about a bitty bitty bada boo bop. And we started sounding a lot like Dr. Bunsen P. Honeydew over here. So
We did do a lot of research for the early episodes. Like I'm telling, like I have a
I
notebook.
already
of
look
people-
enough like a Muppet. I don't need to sound like one.
Well, I
God.
think too, I told Megan like a lot of times when I was trying to like pitch like my idea for post Toasty Ghosties was really just like toss out like a theory and just be like, hey guys, prove us wrong. Like, here's something crazy.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I would love somebody to try to prove us wrong on any of these.
I love that idea. I absolutely love that.
Open up the argument. I mean, be prepared because what I believe strongly. But
Right.
I have an open enough of mind to be able to say, anybody who's ever watched this knows that I will fact check myself first and be like, oh yeah, no, fact check false. That was completely wrong. And that's fine.
See, I missed the vampire
I don't
comment.
mind being
Come back, guy.
proven
We want you
wrong.
back.
Hmm?
The vampire comment guy. We want him back.
Yeah, where were you? Come on.
Say
It's
we
been
want
2
you back.
episodes, guy. Let's
Guy.
go. But that being said, yes, anybody who has a question or actually I added a new thumbnail at the end of this one, which was, do you have a question? Leave a comment. If you have a new theory you want us to go with, either leave the comment or even just write at toastyghostielegends@gmail.com, and we will 100% take a look at it. And because we have 50 or 60 ideas, but each time we film one of these, 7 more episodes are being created as we go.
I know. Did you see I found my my little dolls. My little
Oh, I didn't show him. Yeah,
No.
she found the. I forgot to show him. I had a lot going on this week. She found the dolls, but they were in her son's play box.
Yes, together, all cuddled up.
Yes.
Oh my
So
god, what's
cute and ghostly.
Well, no, she sent them to me like randomly, and I looked at my phone. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Hold
Like,
on.
what is happening?
Oh, hold on. Oh, I'm on the wrong person. All right, we need to wrap up. And hold on.
Hey, and Chris, we have more filming we have to do. Not tonight, but another night. Yeah,
Oh gosh, what else are you doing?
we're doing another podcast
Oh my
I
gosh.
started another podcast because I've
about
got all
books.
the worlds.
All right, we need to roll. Have a fantastic time, and we all film your next episode, but probably not tonight. Okay. All right. And Megan, I'll see you.
I gotta get to the airport first.
Yes, you do. All right.
So nervous. Bye.
Bye. You're the ender now. I sound like a moron. Ridiculous moron. Yes, yes. Definitely.